Hi, Sarah here with another process video using the Mind the Scrap October kit. For this layout I'd chosen a sketch by Let's Get Sketchy. It's a weekly challenge. I'll leave a link below for that, and of course I'm using my Mind the Scrap October kit. I'll also leave a link. I believe there may still be one or two left still for sale. You can also subscribe on their site, so I'll leave a link for that too. So what I've done is, because I'm going with a sketch, I've got out all the scraps that I've used so far, and I'm just piecing together the parts of my sketch for me to then work on top of that. So I've used my scan and cut to cut out some large circles, and also along with that I cut out a few rectangles that match up with the sketch. Once I've picked out what I'm putting down, I'll add them all onto my white cardstock, which I haven't actually primed with anything, but it's the very thick cardstock that comes in the kit, so it's pretty good for adding a bit of mixed media to. Obviously if you use a lot, then it is better to prime your paper first with gesso, or you can use mixed media paper or watercolour paper. So as I said, I'm piecing together now all my bits and pieces. I'm using the B-side to the Halloween papers that are by Carter Bella, because one side is Halloweeny, the other side's more just autumnal, and as you can see from my pictures, there's a lot of green and orange, so I wanted to use green and orange quite a lot to reflect the pictures. I also add a couple of circles to this because in the sketch there are two large circles. That's just me taking a picture of how I want my layers to look, and then I can take my pictures off and glue it all down and not forget where I was wanting to put it all. So here's the extra two circles that appear in the sketch, but what I'm doing with them is, as you can see from that paper there, I've experimented already, and I basically just coat this piece of card that I've just made into a circle with a bit of washi tape, and just stick it down on there with some ink on it to create a rough circle. And I didn't put enough ink down, so I'm adding quite a bit more this time, and the ink I used was the Do Crafts Artiste Black Knight, and so I'm just creating those two circles using this in the places where it is on the sketch as well. The middle part of this will end up covered in photos, but I do actually create the full two pumpkins and then just cover them up. But like I say, I haven't used mixed media, so I have to be a bit more sparing with how wet the paper does get. So here I'm just using some ink straight from the bottle and just sketching in some rough lines. I don't want it to be perfect, I want it to be a bit sort of distressed look, I guess. So I'm just sketching those in, and then once those are, all the lines are done to create the pumpkin shapes, I add a few splashes of ink down the sides to just add a bit more, I guess, and then I leave that to dry. While it's drying, I'll have a look through my alphas, decide on my title, which I already know from on this little hat it says Little Pumpkin, so voila, there it is. I just go with that. I also had this lovely autumnal washi tape, but it didn't work. The colours weren't quite right because they were more cream than white, and there's a lot of white in the paper. So down the side there I've got my ink that was with the kit, in the mixed media kit, and I've also got two sprays. The sprays are distress sprays in carved pumpkin, and fossilised amber is the sort of more browny orangey colour, and I'm just roughly spraying those over the top of the pumpkins, and then with the ink from the kit I add a tiny bit of water and just paint it into the inside of the pumpkins, so it's a bit neater for that, and just to make them more pumpkin colour really, because it's the perfect colour to match the orange paper. I've then taken out my oil pastels, and I've got a brown shade, a yellowy orange, a deeper orange, and some white, and I'm just adding a little bit extra to the pumpkins just for extra depth really, and just experimenting really, just adding a bit more colour. With this I'm putting them on dry and just rubbing them into the paper, because like I say, there's no gesso or anything on this paper. It can take quite a lot, as you can see, but after a bit it does take its toll. More so on the papers. I did actually rip a little bit, but it's covered by a photograph, so it didn't matter in the end. So I've just added a bit more shading to add a bit more depth to the pumpkins, and I think I'm about done with that now. I'm happy with that for now. So next, I believe I'm matting my photographs so that they stand out from the background, because it obviously is quite busy. So for that I just did a thin black matte, and then once I've done that I grabbed some fun foam from like the kiddies section in craft shops, or they all have them mostly, and you just chop it up and it gives you a nice even background with a bit of lift to it to pop the pictures up. So that's my fun foam there, and I use my ATG gun to stick those down. Because I haven't used texture paste, it does stick fairly well without any wet glue. Sometimes I do use wet glue though, depending on how things stick to the background, depending what I've used, that the pictures have to stick on top of. Once I pop them up, I will grab my ephemera and sift through my ephemera and decide what I want to add to that, I think. Yeah, so I already know that I want to add the pumpkins down in that corner, so make sure I add them. I also know that I want to pop some embellishments up and have some just flat, just to mirror the depth in the picture of where the pictures are popped up as well, and some over the photos and some under. Also I've done the three sort of embellishment clusters as well. So I've fast forwarded there slightly, so I've added my embellishment clusters and just showed you there. I just popped up that last one, so in each cluster you've got one that's more forward than the others, just for a bit of depth. As well as that, I want to add a few enamel dots here and there, again still going for the three clusters to add those in, and they just match perfectly with the ephemera and everything, because they're all part of the kit. I think they're Cartabella ones, the enamel dots, and the ephemera is Pebbles, the autumn collection Pebbles, and so are those tiny word stickers I'm adding there as well. And once I've done that, I'm pretty much done. That's pretty much all I do. I do off camera add a little bit of shading under the pumpkin, and obviously here I'm just adding just a little bit more. Now that everything's stuck down, I feel like I just needed to add a little bit more colour to the pumpkin, but I add shading to the bottom one as well. Here's some close-ups. Thanks for watching today. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy my videos. Thanks, bye.